Hello and welcome to this video. In the video, I'm just going to give a short demonstration of how we can extract data from its source into Power BI so that we can start analyzing the data. In the video, I'm just going to be extracting a flat file from my local computer. And I think in another video, I'm going to give a demonstration of how we can extract data into Power BI from a database. So let's jump right into it. So of course, the first thing that I need to do is to power up my Power BI. So I'll start Power BI here. And of course, when Power BI starts, it will give you various options where you can start extracting your data from. And in my case here, I've got Microsoft Excel, SQL Server, one-layer catalog, and I can start from a blank report. Of course, I can just start inputting my data manually myself. And of course, if you want more data sources, you then go and click on get data from other sources here. But my file that I'm going to be extracting here is just an Excel flat file that is stored on my computer. So I'm going to click on Excel here, being a data source that I am going to use to extract data from. So I'll click on Excel workbook, and it will give me a dialog where I can now browse to the file that I want to load into Power BI. Of course, I've a lot of folders on my computer here with lots of data. So I'll just browse to the folder with the dataset that I want to upload into Power BI. So I'm just going to select this one that says AfroSense sales data. And when I select my file there, then I come right down here on the bottom left corner where I have opened, or alternatively I can just double click on the file and it will load into Power BI. So I'm just going to click on open, and then Power BI is going to give me a dialog which is called the navigator in Power BI. And in this navigator, I have the dataset that I have just selected, which is AfroSense sales data. And this dataset has 3 worksheets in it, and those worksheets will obviously show up here. So there is a people worksheet, returns, and sales worksheet, and all these just worksheets that I can include in the data that I want to import into Power BI. So if I want all 3 worksheets, what I just have to do there is to check on each one of these worksheets. And of course, if you click on any one of them, you get a preview of what data that worksheet is holding. And if I click on this one, which is called returns, it will show me that it is holding this data here. So this is just a preview of what that worksheet holds for me. So if I'm satisfied that these are the worksheets that I want to import, and remember these worksheets are in this Excel file called AfroSense sales data, and of course it's an Excel SX file, which is an Excel file, and they are now ready to be imported into Power BI. And well, if I want to transform this data or to make any changes or to slice my data, in terms of removing columns or even adding more columns, changing data types and so on, I can of course go to transform data. If I know that my data is just ready for analysis, I don't have to be changing anything, then I just go right ahead and say load into Power BI. But in my case, I'm just going to be going to do some little transformations, because of course if I go to the preview here, you can see that this worksheet with this data for people is obviously having a bit of a problem, because it says column 1, column 2 as the column headings for this data set. So I need to go into Power BI and take care of that. So If I need to be doing such kind of operations, I then need to go to transform data, and transform data will of course take me to the Power Query editor where I can do all those transformations. So it's just good practice to just go first into the Power Query editor where you can clean your data, where you can transform your data. Of course, the basis for any data analytics process is data cleaning and transformation. So we click on transform data so that we can go into the Power Query editor. And of course, the Power Query editor is going to open for us. And in the Power Query editor, you will notice that my three worksheets are now imported as individual tables here on the left, people, returns, and sales. And you can see that, of course, I last opened this dataset, I think 8 days ago. So I can just click on refresh. That's not a problem. Just click on refresh so that the data is refreshed or is imported afresh, or Power Query is going to connect to these three tables afresh. So I now have the chance to make the corrections. You see here on the people table, I have column 1 and column 2 as the column headings for these two columns, which is something that I would not want to have, because when I'm now creating reports, I'm not going to have a report that is going to be so specific in terms of what I am creating that report for, because if a report comes with just column 1 or column 2, I wouldn't know what column 1 or column 2 stands for. So I need to correct that. So the first thing, of course, that I need to do is to promote the first row here, which is salesperson and region. I know these should be the column headings, so I will just promote these two to be the column headings. And for me to do that, I just go into this little box here on the top left of this pen that I'm in, and I click there, and then I choose use first row as headers. So I click on that, and Power BI is going to promote that row to be my header row. And then I look at my data types. If you see that Power BI has identified your data types wrongly, then you can always change the data types. But most of the time, Power BI identifies data types very correctly. So here, of course, salesperson, the data type has been identified correctly as text. You can see that by these symbols that you see in the right corner of this column. If it says ABC, it means this column is a text column. And again, for the region, the data type has been identified correctly as text as well. So for this one, I think I'm okay. I'll go to returns. The same thing again. I have column 1, column 2, column 3, and that I know that my column headings should be returned, or the ID and region. And I'll do the same. Promote the first row to be headers. So I click on the little box there, and I say use first row as headers again. And I look at my data types. Yes, Power BI has identified these data types for these three columns correctly. I'll go on to the sales table. I'll notice that in the sales table, all my column headings have been identified very well. And of course, probably the only thing that I may need to do is to just change this row ID to be maybe text. I don't want the row IDs to be identified as numeric, as a numeric data type, because I'm not going to be doing any aggregations or any calculations on this row ID. So I'll just right click on it and go to change type, and I choose text, because I need all my IDs to be text. Anything that identifies a record, I want it to be in the form of text, so that when I'm now creating reports, I have labels that I can use for my reports. And if your data is not in the form of text, or if your column is not in the form of text, then the label is going to be a bit off when you create your reports. But I'll do another video where I'm going to be doing data cleaning in Excel, or transformation of data and cleaning of data in Power BI. So I'm going to be doing another video in which I'm going to be talking about I'm going to be doing another video in which I'm going to be demonstrating how we can clean our data, how we can transform our data in Power BI. But for this one, I'm just going to be showing how to load data into Power BI. So if you are satisfied now that your data is ready for analysis, you can just click on Home right here, and then you click on Close and Apply. So if you click on Close and Apply, Power BI is going to load that data set into the report view, where you can now start to create your Power BI reports. So of course it will take a bit of time, just a few seconds, to load the data set into the report view. So you just wait for it. So when it's loading, it's simply taking your transformations, anything that you have done in the Power Query editor into consideration, and it's making those changes so that it imports your data in its correct form in your report view. Now my data is important. If you look on the far right here, I have my tables, and I can expand on each of these tables, and I can see the columns that are in each table of data. So this is how we can load data into Power BI using a flat file stored on the local computer, and in this case I was using an Excel flat file. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye.